Flock Safety is tightening the rules for how law enforcement uses its camera network.
These changes follow growing concerns about officers misusing that technology, including right here in Alabama.
Now, I took a closer look at the new safeguards and why Flock says the cameras remain a valuable tool.
We've realized our responsibility and our opportunity to set a new standard for safety and privacy has grown with it.
Flock Safety CEO and founder Garrett Langley understands the general public concerns as it relates to his company's camera network.
We knew that abuse was a risk 9 years ago, which is why we mandated every customer had to have an audit log.
Police agencies have come under scrutiny for using the Flock system for non-official law enforcement business. In St. Clair County, one officer in Springville resigned. Another in Moody was fired for violating the department's use policy. We first told you about a Moody resident who filed a $200 public records request on how the Moody Police Department and the city uses Flock cameras, share Flock data, and the financial records related to the network. Some of the changes that will be enacted include how long data is stored, going from 30 down to 7 days, and locking out users whose searches display abnormal activity.
What does that mean?
While Langley recognizes the need for guardrails, he also points to how the cameras have helped law enforcement.
Last month alone, we helped detect over 1,000 missing people, over 20,000 stolen cars.
Earlier this month, Calera Police Chief David Hyde posted to Facebook about how his department uses Flock cameras, saying that, quote, "We require that a reason be documented on each Flock use
just like
during
Hitler.
our monthly audits. We will confirm and validate these reasons. Violations will result in punishment up to termination."
How we build a better version of America that's both safer, protects our privacy, and holds those who have power accountable.
That's a tall order right there.
My question is, what if the department doesn't follow the rules and keeps the data for like 6 months instead of 7 days?
Or instead of tracking
pretty easy to make a backup reporting of much about anything right now.
Yeah, but instead of tracking bad guys, they're tracking lawyers that are looking into the mayor.
What is the punishment if they don't follow the rules?
There is none.
Really cool rules, but if there's there is no punishment, it's
go
like tampering in
the
football.
30 complaints that I filed with APOS since 1997. Okay. All right, let's get this out of the way. No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be provided are greater than legal services of other lawyers. I'm Harry Steele. I'm a retired lawyer down in Baldwin County, Alabama. I'm joined today by Brandon Mosley, content manager and reporter at the Alabama Gazette. How are you, Brandon?
I'm doing fine, Harry. How are you?
Well, so we had an election. Jerry Carl won down here.
I kind of I think we both predicted that.
Yeah. What about AL2? Is that Marquez guy? He won?
Yeah, Marquez, he lucked out big time because he was about to lose the Republican runoff to Jerry Carl. But then, the Supreme Court stepped in and changed the districts. And so now they both get to go to Congress.
Hey, lemon and lemonade.
Yeah, that's assuming they beat their Democrat opponents, of course.
Yeah, and assuming that.
Which is a big if in District 2.
In 2, where he's got some political problems. Gary Palmer won. Don't know who's gonna be facing Palmer as a Democrat.
I have it in my article. I'd have to go look at the name.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But he beat all his Democrat friends by a pretty big amount.
Okay, so the woman that bathes in baby blood from Mountain Brook, she won. And then of course this brings us to the trouble in paradise for Tommy Tuberville. Not listening to his constituency, and Jones getting a considerable lead, particularly over the data center issue. And
I don't think the data centers is going to be enough to help Doug, but clearly Tommy took some self-inflicted wounds on the data center issue in July.
Yeah, well, and also, backing up a president who said he'd never start a war and all these foolish trillions of dollars, and he's on the Senate Appropriations Committee. Anyway, Joint Armed Services Committee. So, we're going to doge the We're going to doge the state of Alabama. I thought that was pretty good. So did you see this? Mayor says Hatcher threatened him. The police were called to the Mobile County Public School System Central Administrative Office after a school board commissioner allegedly threatened the mayor of Sims following a personnel hearing. Commissioner Johnny Hatcher. No fisticuffs, of course, but the mayor was threatened. Be real careful. You don't want to threaten any mayors around here, do you, Brandon? So,
no, I mean, politics should stay civil and not come to fisticuffs.
Okay, well,
I know
Jones,
that's a little different than everyone else there, but.
So this has become the norm in politics in Alabama, and I don't like it. I like Jerry Carl just fine. I think he's going to do a good job for us, despite the party politics. But you got to debate people. It doesn't matter where they're coming from or what their agenda is.
I don't buy that.
I'm sure you don't.
If you have the polling lead and you have the money lead, why would you give up your name?
Imaginary high ground. Your imaginary high ground. You got all the money and you can buy all the ad time. No need to have a substantive debate. That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
That's why we invite people on podcasts.
The party should make everybody debate. There should be mandatory debates so that you have to come defend your position. Sorry.
Yeah, that's not in the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah, I get it. It should be in nothing about any of this party shit is in the Constitution either, Brandon. We just made it all up to suit our needs. Yeah, we did.
Unless you're going to amend the U.S. Constitution, you cannot make two congressional candidates hold a debate if they don't want to.
So, hot criminal update. Whitney Cheatham wanted to go to Tennessee to make a dirty movie in a waterfall or something for her OnlyFans page, and the judge said no. Damn it, Judge. We were all really looking forward to that. So, do you know the biggest... Okay, so look. I don't like people that make child pornography. I don't know why anybody would want to look at a prepubescent child or one of them being raped or any of this other shit, okay? But
I don't understand
the Center for Missing and Exploited Children, that's where this tip came from, okay? So in the history of this organization, they have never asked for a search warrant, nor have they ever rescued a child. All they do is they have a deal with Yahoo and all these other internet service providers, and they have this little web crawler program that goes around looking for images that are already tagged and known to them as CSAM or CP or whatever you want to call it. They get the IP address, and then they give it to the sheriff's department where they've got their 70 guys sitting around, watching Lethal Weapon jerking off, waiting for an opportunity to go kick somebody's door down. So anyway, apparently multiple terabytes.
Is innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, but I'm talking about I ain't talking about this guy. I don't even know who the hell he is. 25-year-old guy in Foley.
I'm not going to assume the man is guilty.
Okay, but what I'm talking about is
arrested.
The
but
process.
I'm perfectly for the Baldwin County Sheriff's Department investigating this sort of stuff.
Okay, that's got nothing to do with it, Brandon. It's the goddamn process and how they just went and web crawled all this stuff and without a warrant. They get the information, then they go get a warrant. There's got to be a little bit of a libertarian bone in your body about this, okay? It's just like the flock camera thing when I brought it up 3 years ago. Do you want to live in a place where the bad guys sometimes get away or somewhere you got some freedom? And they've looked at everything on everybody's computer to find this CSAM material, right? I'm glad they found terabytes of this while looking at everything on everybody's computer who use Google, Yahoo. Anyway, when you sign up for a Google account, you agree to let the Center for Missing and Exploited Children go through all your emails. Just so you know, that's one of the 5,000 things you agreed to. Besides Meta selling all your shit to, Amazon and whatever else. So, do you know that the CIA created Pokemon Go? Do you remember everybody was going around taking pictures of the fountain in town, and there was a Pokemon when you pointed your phone at it. It was like a hologram, and you take pictures of it. You ever heard of Q Intel Pro? It's one of the money, you know, one of the DARPA funded CIA groups. No. Anyway, just in case you're wondering what kind of a surveillance device you're carrying around for these folks. Yeah, there it is. And hopefully you took pictures of your backyard and inside your house and everything else. So yeah, there's again kicking the Moody and Springville police officers while they're down. So the man accused.
I didn't know the Moody police officer.
Okay, well let's talk about this shit. So
Nice
man
guy,
accused
actually.
of damaging Talladega flock cameras faces new charges in St. Clair County. Apparently, we think he meets the MO. So, man,
Yeah, he's got
previously
reckless and dangerous, and he was hunting on other people's property. Can't be doing that kind of stuff in St. Clair County.
previously accused of damaging flock cameras, is now facing digital charges. Colton Dorough, a hero.
Again, we don't know whether he's guilty or not.
Okay, well, somebody thinks they said his bond is if he murdered 17 children. $202,000.
Tampering with someone's computer, and he did damage public property.
Yes.
And he was hunting on somebody's hunting on a public road.
What a damn criminal. I sure am glad we hoovered him up. So the next thing is the flock folks said, hey, we got all these Uber and Lyft delivery cars. Let's require them under the state of Georgia's franchise law to install a flock camera. So we have these roaming 350,000 cars running all over the place, surveilling everybody, in addition to the drones, cameras, and everything else we got.
My only question to that is, does the Uber driver get paid for, being the police surveillance system?
Probably not.
Just saying.
So
I mean, they can install a little plate reader on my truck if I get paid. I mean, we can negotiate that.
Yeah. So Brandon, the U.S. Navy 3D prints combat-ready drones and 1,000 parts on board aircraft carriers during exercise. So, yeah. So how come if we can do all that, we can't fix the commodes? And we can't make them explain it to me.
Yeah, I mean, the problems on the Lincoln are not as severe as the problems on the Gerald Ford, which is our newest carrier. I don't understand why we had to reinvent marine plumbing, which I thought the Titanic had right.
I'm sure some of this new low flow plumbing
stuff here. And somehow the Navy and their shipyards managed to overthink this to the point that mechanical engineers can't figure out how to fix the plumbing on the carriers.
Ensign Harry, take the Marines here and that helicopter and fly to the nearest whatever, Home Depot, and commandeer everything we need to fix the ship, right? I mean,
I kind of think
send a support
give me 300,000 of PVC pipe, and I can be, we can have the plumbing functional pretty quick. But
so they can do all that. They can make it. They can fabricate a squadron of drones in 12-foot seas, and
Again, because the smartest minds are working on how to fabricate drones from, the field, not on the plumbing. And we think we need to have some of those smart minds moved back over to plumbing. Or let's just steal the designs from like the Essex class carriers of World War II, where the plumbing worked fine.
Oh, so guess what? My buddies put the 3D printers to task with The flock
Making
sock.
flock cameras?
The flock sock, dude. It's this little horseshoe thing that you print. You just walk up there and slip it over the flock camera. The flock sock.
That might be illegal.
I'm sure it is.
That'd be interfering with police business.
People are going to extreme leaks to stop themselves from being filmed through Meta's pervert glasses. He does.
Well, I've never
he looks
worn
like
any
your
Meta
classic
glasses.
pervert, doesn't he? Yeah, apparently they're just pervert glasses. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, you can see through ladies' dresses and all kinds of cool stuff.
So, do you know who'd love to have a pair of those? The guy beating naked women on balconies of public facilities. So, Kennon served notice of ethics hearing.
Again, we have to assume everyone's innocent until they're proven guilty.
Right. Except
hasn't been charged
yet. When I was investigating the death of this guy's friend that he owed $2 million to, he used his police department and the flock camera system to surveil me. So
being a bad man
him.
is not necessarily violating a law.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he violated my rights, and I'm a good case study for that dickhead that owns this flock camera system. So I hate Paul's not here because this is his little project, or his hate project. His project he loves to hate. There we go. So 100-year-old Fairhope landmark on the move. The Hermit Hut relocates. I mean, who in the hell would save that thing, Brandon? We tore down a unique goblet-shaped water tower to make way for the sheriff's monstrosity of a jail, and we're going to save this turd that some homeless guy built out of, yeah. It's Fairhope, man. Nothing makes any sense.
I mean, people travel to the beach to see tourist attractions like the Hermit Hut.
Okay. So
who knew?
So we talked last time about the Road and Bridge Division, had a meeting, and their recommendations are going to be rolled into the comprehensive plan for Baldwin County, and you can see their connectivity plan and all these areas that they imagine growing by leaps and bounds. A group of farmers, mayor, and future county commissioners spoke Thursday, August 6th, against a new Baldwin County master plan that would provide a zoning and development guide for one of the nation's fastest growing areas. And, so you know how
again, if I inherited 300 acres down in Baldwin County, one, I'd be really thrilled, have a cool party. The next day, I'd be like, "Hey, what will the people at 68 Ventures pay to develop this?"
Okay, what did they pay Erica Thomas to write this article? And I wonder who she got the information from. So let's talk about astroturfing. So astroturfing is a public relations campaign that seeks to create the impression of being spontaneous grassroots behavior. AstroTurf is artificial grass as a metaphor for fake grassroots support. The goal is to disguise the agenda as an independent public reaction to some political product or event. AstroTurf lobbying, we can give you some examples of those. So,
I mean, I wish somebody would pay me to be in an AstroTurf group. We could write all kinds of cool stuff.
A few people who discreetly poses mass numbers of activists advocating a specific cause. AstroTurfers instruct a target group on what to say, how to say it, and where to send the message. So they manipulate things by making it look as if it's a grassroots effort. And like I said, ding. The GUMBO Sheriff is leading a group saying we need to slow down. I saw him on the news like 2 years ago with Nathan Cox saying we love development. It's BS. And don't think you haven't fallen for this before, North Baldwin. because we just happen to have a grassroots group pop up and wring their hands and say, oh, there's nothing we can do about this solar site. I don't think it was grassroots either.
Astroturfing is a loose term for campaigns or messages that look like they came up on their own but were actually made by a company. Astroturfing hides the financial and business ties between the company that started the message and the message itself. This could make it easier for a public that might not like propaganda to accept corporate messages. Since the grass is fake, the word astroturfing is a play on the word grassroots movement. Astroturfing is when an online business tries to show that a product is highly wanted and sought after by a certain group of customers by putting up company-sponsored blog posts, message board posts, or articles, even though there is no proof to back up this claim. Astroturfing has been used to reach out to the public for decades, usually through secretly funded public advocacy groups. However, it is especially common on the internet. Some examples include bloggers who are paid by a company to review their products pretend to be impartial. Using multiple fake identities, called sock puppets, on popular message board sites like Reddit, Dig, or 4chan to spread similar posts to give the impression that an idea is popular. Paid accounts on social media sites like Facebook or Pinterest that focus on specific brands of products. Deals with independent bloggers that involve giving them gifts or trips in exchange for good coverage. Advertisements that look like they are from private sites or public interest groups, but actually lead to pages written by corporations. Doing any of the above in order to hurt a competitor's business instead of promoting one's own products. Astroturfing is a very controversial method that is often discouraged or looked down upon. Many kinds of online content, like made-up memes, walk a thin line between outreach and astroturfing. However, most people don't like it when people try to do this on purpose. If an online business is caught astroturfing in the open, it can be embarrassing and could do a lot of damage to its public relations if the news gets out. Also, many Western countries have clear laws against forms of astroturfing that are obvious or especially deceptive. For example, both the US and the EU have laws that require bloggers and social media authors who are paid to promote a company to say how they are paid by that company. It is thought that up to a third of all online reviews are made up, which makes astroturfing a common problem. Astroturfing isn't necessary if you have good marketing, customer service, and quality products. If you get caught, you could lose your credibility or face legal action, which is worse than any possible benefits.
Know what I'm saying? Do you have an opinion about this? I mean, you're watching this from afar. I'm right here in the middle of it, and I'm telling you, this.
I do think
they're trying to control the narrative of the naysayers. You know,
the landowners have a constitutional right to put their property to the
highest and best use
interest, highest and best use for them. Okay. And in some cases that's data centers or more garden homes or trailer parks or solar farms. Rather it stay like pretty pasture with cows, but I mean, again, I don't know that the public interest is strong enough.
You're missing the point. The sons of bitches that are now saying we need to slow down have been pouring the coal to the train. Okay? This is bullshit. Total bullshit, Brandon. None of these people care about a cow pasture or nothing else. They care about this, and they care about their buddies making more of it. That's it. That's all this is about down here in Baldwin County. Baldwin County Sewer Service, 68 Ventures, Adams Homes, they're all up to the same thing. And when they're done picking this carcass, they'll move on. None of them are going to live here. It's exploitative. And Huey Mack can make all the commercials he wants to about how he moved to here when he was 5 years old and did his first autopsy when he was 11. You ain't from here. And they'll move on like pine beetles once they're done destroying this place. They don't care. Well, They want to take control of the narrative and say we're the naysayers. And then when they satisfy them, oh, well, we met with the naysayers and we've all agreed on what we're going to do moving forward. By the way, Billy Joe Underwood would not be on the county commission if not for Hoss Mack, and certainly wouldn't have held on to that seat. Of course, you know who ran against her was Kevin Brock, who had actually done something. She ran saying she was going to do something, and I don't know who was our county administrator who now works for Wayne Dice quit because she's a pathological liar. All she did was lie to him. I think there's enough of that. So let's go into some conspiracy theory stuff. You want to go? So it is.
Yeah, very carefully.
It is a loose contention in what I'm calling the Murder Creek Triangle. That is the area between Evergreen, Monroeville, and Bruton. The Murder Creek, drainage basin, and particularly the range community where all these people's vehicles have been found. You know, let's just say the MO is we find the car, the door's open, the keys are in the ignition, the cell phone's there, their wallet's there. It looks just like somebody got out of the car and walked away. And then 6 months to a year later, we find their body, 10 miles away in the middle of nowhere, and it's found by a hunter. So recently, a woman disappeared, and they found her body.
Do you ever get out of your car without your cell phone, your wallet, and your keys? Unless it's on fire, I really can't think of that ever happening.
Yeah.
So,
and so
you
there was
almost wonder, because you're not going to do that to meet with one of your friends. If I'm leaving my vehicle, I'm taking the keys to the vehicle, my money, identification, and my phone. So it would make me think these people left the vehicle unwillingly, like with a gun to their head.
Well, it's either a woman or it's a cop, because you don't get out of a woman doesn't get out of the car for some strange man. Anyway, I think it's a cop. It might be a woman, but whoever it is, they're pretty savvy. If it's a woman, she's probably working with a man because of moving the body, unless she's some kind of super athlete. It's pretty hard to move a dude that's 250 pounds if you're a 140-pound woman, wouldn't you say? So somebody's moving these bodies around. There was a guy, he's not listed here, but a guy from Bay Minette was driving a van, and he was found in front of a. That's the other thing. They're all kind of found pretty close to a cemetery, which in rural Alabama, there might not be much else around, but there's probably a cemetery within a few hectares of where you are.
It's always, most of your tracking deals, your little phone mapping deals for an area will have the cemetery. So let's meet at Elmwood Cemetery or Tucker Family Cemetery. It's pretty easy to find. It's a good place to meet for something.
Okay, well, this is a spider trap.
Somebody down there in that area, if somebody that you're not overly really, really close to wants to meet at the cemetery, the answer to that is no.
Yeah, but these were all people just traveling through. The one guy from Bay Minette. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but you still had to stop at the cemetery for a reason.
Okay, well,
I could go at 75 miles an hour past the cemetery. That doesn't mean I'm stopping there.
Right. Or if if a cop lit you up and you're on a county road and there's a cemetery, right, you would, but just because there's a place to pull off, that's why you would pull over there, not necessarily because that's where you're going. I understand your theory that people are going to meet for drug deals and stuff and they go bad. I don't think so. The more I look at these victims, They got absolutely nothing in common. I can't even imagine they have the same blood type or anything like that would potentially tie them all together, other than, they were coming through this rural part of Alabama and met a sticky end. Or we really don't even know how they met their end. He may be, asphyxiating them because none of the bodies have been found within a period of time where postmortems, could really tell us anything. But anyway,
cause of death would tell us a lot.
If somebody
it's a bullet, a head, in all cases, or strangulation in all cases, I know a whole lot more about that killer than I know now without having that information in front of me.
Right, but I got plenty
Generally,
to do.
People who kill as for pleasure or for money do it the same way over and over again.
That's one way to look at it. Hey, talk about doing the same shit over and over again and getting, expecting different results. So we've got a community safety notice throughout the month. Baldwin County Sheriff's Office will conduct safety checkpoints at various locations. Doesn't that sound like fun?
What you got to do to keep it safe.
Yeah, the lollipop. Let's put the Lollipop Guild in charge of that. Why don't we? So last time we told you, I still don't have a copy of the grand jury subpoena that was sent to the expert. So I'll keep you all abreast of that. So there's trouble in paradise. I know you know these two guys because this was my judge and this was my prosecutor. And it turns out that my prosecutor, while he's in private practice and is the prosecutor for the city of Bay Minette, he's a criminal defense attorney under contract in Stankey's courtroom. So you know how there were all these leaks to the Lanyap about how how crooked the selection process is and how we should be electing our judges? So guess who the leak was? It was Babayface Sculley. After not being given a rose after being nominated 5 times. So I guess it got back to Stankey. He didn't like it, so he canned his contract. But then, Huey Mack and his dad and some other folks got involved. And we simply moved him from this docket to another judge's docket and moved the attorney from that docket to Stankey. So all is right in the world, and everybody's getting along again. Blount County Sheriff Mark Moon emailed the Blount County Commission Monday to let them know he will not be seeking re-election and is looking for another job to provide for his family, leaving the door open to resign before the end of his term. Now, Pam Casey's been going round and round with this guy. We've had her on a couple of times. Do you have any particular insight into what was going on here? I know he let his buddy stay at his hunting cabin instead of going to jail.
Yeah, that, and he didn't want to prosecute his buddy, even though his buddy was a known meth dealer up in, and trafficker and cooker and all these kind of cool things.
Antiana, home of the best meth in America.
Well, and there's a lot of evidence been released to social media that he was having a very inappropriate romantic relationship with a young lady who had been arrested a few times for amphetamines and was also a paid confidential informant for the office.
Oh, he was banging the crack whore confidential informant? What's wrong with that, man? A little piece of chicken on the side. The sheriff's job is very stressful. He needs some relief.
And one of his deputies was arrested. Again, an arrest does not mean he's guilty, but he was arrested of sending inappropriate photos of his private parts to girls as young as 12 over the internet.
Let me ask you a question. If he had tied it into, like made like an animal out of it, like a balloon, would that have been an appropriate picture to send a child of your penis? I don't think there's an appropriate penis picture.
Well, you know,
Classifying it as inappropriate, it's over descriptive.
Last month, 2 of his deputies were indicted by the Blount County grand jury for murder of an inmate in his jail.
Is this the guy that froze to death? Is this the guy they threw in the freezer?
No, that was Walker County.
Was Walker County.
This was some poor 23-year-old kid that unfortunately, I guess maybe into some other personal issues, had a diabetes, and he went into some kind of diabetes attack. And 2 of the young corrections officers, man and woman, 19 years old, decided the way to deal with him doing whatever he was doing in his attack was not to call paramedics, but it was to dry taser him to death.
Oh, I thought they put a cookie in his mouth and he choked on it. They tased him to death?
Just hit him with it. Yeah, he was on there having a diabetic coma and he's getting hit with the taser for it.
Well, Sheriff Mark Moon, I hope you come your ass down here to Baldwin County so I can tase you in the ass until you vomit to death.
Again, this is an allegation. These are charges.
Yeah,
but there is a dead man.
What a prince of a fella. Listen, man.
So I mean, I'm not throwing stones, but
I am.
I'm not the family of that 23-year-old. That's not my son. That died there.
How did these people that were supervising them? How are they able to make a livelihood as police officers after an incident like this happens under their command?
But again, I'm not the family, but I'm kind of thinking the family's probably, after the indictments came down, the family's probably already consulted with Morgan & Morgan or another
Morgan & Morgan. Surely attorney. They got better sense than that. Jesus.
We can't make comments about other attorneys, but yeah, I'm sure Blount County and the Sheriff's Department is facing a wrongful death lawsuit that's probably into the millions of dollars.
Okay, so just
whether they get convictions on these 2 guys, this couple of deputies or not.
Okay, so look, let's do these pretty rapidly. So there's a conceptual design. The Upper Bay Marsh restoration is set to begin. That's a bunch of bullshit. What they're doing is they're taking the spoilage out of this channel and they're piling it up right there so they don't have to move it very far. And it's the only place in America where they dump the spoilage in the same bay where they are dredging the ship channel. Everywhere else, it has to go miles offshore, and it's wildly expensive because we're the armpit of America. Nobody gives a shit, especially the Corps of Engineers. Those sons of bitches. But you go try to build a pier in Josephine, they'll show up in droves. So Orange Beach withholds info from police surveys. There's another shocker. Guess what? They're not showing anyone. Mayor Tony Kennon's inside the city coastal resource building after a 911 call about potential domestic violence. And so I tell everybody about this magical town I'm from, that we're the county seat and we're 2 miles from the river and we have a railroad that runs through town and we have an interstate just north of us and another one south of town, and that we have a community college. And for some, and all these things are 20 miles apart because of the corruption in this town. So instead of abandoning this shithole of a college and building it in a place that makes sense, like right across the railroad tracks from the county courthouse, so we can have some foot traffic and save our downtown, no, we're going to modernize campus and build a bunch more of these turd-looking international architecture buildings down here. Anyway, just my humble opinion. So, Brandon, tell me about the all of the low-tech attacks we're under right now. So we got a screwworm, and that's a flesh-eating maggot that kills your sheep and everything with a hoof, right?
Yeah, basically, you've seen maggots before, and they eat whatever they eat. It's usually decaying stuff. These guys are different. He's a screwworm, meaning that he eats the living flesh of animals that where the flies have laid their eggs, and just eats them alive. Um,
I'm trying
this
not to
was a
itch myself
problem.
right now. That's
Yeah,
anyway.
that's not a good way for an animal or anything else to die. This had been eradicated in the United States about the time I was born. Um, it was something my grandfather always talked about. We had if you like straighted a calf, we used screwworm spray so that the screwworms wouldn't get in there and eat them alive, even though we didn't have screwworms. But unfortunately, um, the screwworm problem is back from the dead and advanced through Mexico over the winter and the spring, and is now in Texas and has been identified, and I've been told by the USDA at least on 44 different ranches spread out across central and southern Texas.
And this is because the ranchers don't want to report it because the USDA will come in and burn their herd, right? So everybody's lying about the existence.
No, it's not something that you would want to lie about because it's not a disease vector where it jumps from cow to cow to cow, and literally flies fly around, and they when flies are near your lunch, they're not trying to eat it, they're looking to lay their eggs. And instead of them laying them on a cow that just is where there's really nothing for them to eat there, they literally eat the cow or the calf. And it's a danger to the wild hogs, to the deer, to all the wildlife.
The hell with everything else. What are we going to do when all the deer are gone?
Yeah, we don't.
What are all the body shops going to do that rely on deer to hit cars?
Yeah, we need to contain this as quickly as possible. We just opened a new lab where sterile male screwworms are being bred by the government in millions of quantities. And we're hoping that when the little female screwworms are flying around looking to have a mate, they'll mate with the sterile males, so that when they lay those eggs, they never develop little maggot puppies that kill everything in sight.
Yeah, but this could destroy our food supply. This could disrupt a lot of stuff.
The World War II generation, when this was their deal in the 1960s, they dealt with it with DDT. There's a lot of things I don't like about DDT. This might be the exception where we bring that out of mothballs.
Yeah, we got plenty of brown pelicans. The hell with the pelicans and the seabirds.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is just, let's wipe this out now, in my opinion.
All right. So tell me about Scrapie.
Scrapie is it's a brain encephalitis found in sheep. It's a prion disease like chronic wasting disease in deer, or mad cow disease in cattle. We hadn't had a case of Scrapie in the continental United States in like 5 years. We were on the verge of being declared a Scrapie free, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, country. And then all of a sudden it appeared at a slaughter line in Oregon. And unfortunately, those were not tagged sheep. So we don't know where in Oregon or wherever this actually came from. But this is like crisis number 2 now at USDA. Well, crisis number 3 if you count the killer bacteria lettuce.
Yeah. So mad cow disease in all the sheep. And then only now does the FDA go to Mexico to investigate explosive diarrhea outbreak. This may be my favorite outbreak. I never get tired of saying explosive diarrhea outbreak.
I don't want to be sounding like a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist,
I would.
but our food supply has been attacked by three very exotic, uh, pre-existing diseases
Low
that,
tech.
anybody, yeah, very low, these are things that
Low
exist.
tech,
This isn't
high
like
yield, high
warfare.
disruption.
Yeah, this isn't like COVID where somebody invented something in a lab that didn't exist before. These are things that existed but are very rare, and now they're not so rare, and they're in our food supply. And it just so happens at this point in time, we're fighting a very significant war against Iran. I don't want to connect dots here, but if I was somebody at National Security or USDA, this is something I would be very quietly looking into to see, is there an invisible hand moving, or did God just unleash some plagues on us all at the same time?
It was the comet. It was the comet brought them.
It
So
might have just been a bad day on the horoscope.
yeah, I don't think
know,
so.
but
So hackers target municipal water systems in 7 states this week. Did you know about this?
I'm still trying to figure out why our water systems are online that they could be hacked. It's like, hey,
that's a little
we're paying a
suspicious,
water
ain't it?
worker to go down and check, make sure all the machinery is working. He doesn't need to be doing that online. Do it physically in person.
Okay, so this is another one of those that doesn't make any sense to me. The Lone Star tick that causes red meat allergy is pretty much everywhere now. I mean, I guess it's hard to get a tick bite in the desert. It looks like the real arid places in Washington State. I guess a rainforest is also inhospitable to the Lone Star tick, but it makes you allergic to mammalian meat and dairy products. Like you can't eat squirrel, and it's not just beef. It's mammals.
Yeah, it's not just beef, it's pork, it's chicken.
No more manatees.
Deer. I think you can still eat fish.
Yeah.
But it's an allergy that's not genetic and wasn't because your mama messed you up as a 3-year-old.
Gave you peanuts or didn't give you peanuts.
Yeah, or kept you too clean or whatever the theory is. No, you're just minding your own business.
Dude, we had to slide into the drainage ditch. When it rained real bad, yeah, we'd play in the ditch. I'm pretty sure I'm healthy.
Yeah, the disease, well, you should have less allergies, not more, in theory. But, yeah, this is not a good deal either. But again, this started before the Iran war deal, so I don't know that I would connect that dot with these other dots.
Unless they were dropped out of those Chinese
like
weather
a lot
balloons.
Of bad stuff seems to be happening right now here post-COVID.
Yeah.
2026 has not been a good year for exotic food type diseases.
So that for some reason there's no Lone Star tick right here where we are. What do you reckon that's all about?
They probably just haven't diagnosed it yet.
That's pretty weird. And then, of course,
somebody probably has the disease and is probably going down to their doctor complaining about stomach problems, and they're looking for ulcers or, all kinds of exotic, colitis problems or whatever.
Okay, so what about this Reedley, California biolab that some code enforcement officer found? This is actually, a report from the House subcommittee on something or other. And of course, it turns out it was a Chinese national running an illegal lab and with plague rats and AIDS rats and all kinds of stuff. So when you're saying, I don't know where this stuff might have come from,
we probably need a little bit more oversight over medical research.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, all I know is, you and I can't have a hand grenade, so.
There's probably a good reason for that.
So did you know that Mayor Kennon got him a notice of the that he's got to go see the Ethics Commission.
Yeah, I have heard that report. I think Lanyap reported that this morning.
And anything else on your site here that we didn't cover that you think is?
Ken McPeters' federal lawsuit got thrown out of court, so he's appealing. Yeah, he still hasn't given it up. I think we know Tuberville is going to be on the November ballot.
Yeah, you never know. Hey man, a lot of things can change. All right, well here's our outro. Certainly appreciate everybody's time, and we will check y'all next time.
By the way, conspiracy theory is also a control technique. But
so wait, labeling something as a conspiracy theory.
Yes. So it's all shame-based control, and you find a lot of this with authoritarian people. They want to shame you into doing as you're told. So if you have an intellectual thought, you have an idea. But the human mind has been doing this ever since humans evolved. We look at something and then we try and rationalize it. And yes, sometimes we do get it wrong. So, sometimes humans have looked at the volcano and thought, oh, the volcano is angry at me. And yes, okay, that was a mistake. The volcano was not actually angry at the humans. The volcano was just a volcano and the humans misinterpreted that. But that's not a conspiracy theory. It's nothing to be ashamed of. What those humans are doing is applying their minds to the best of their ability at that time to the problem that faces them. And by applying our minds rationally to the best of our ability at the time, that is how humans have evolved and survived and thrived and now are in charge of large portions of the planet because of this. So the idea that a conspiracy theory is wrong is I reject that inherently. It's like any attempt to rationalize by a human is obviously just part of being human.
Well, if